Welcome to Rauta's Black Metal Reviews. This time we go to Norway, but not just with any new band, but something from a veteran musician of a band. First, we'll talk about this particular release, and then we'll talk about the background and all. Mjolne is the name of the new band with just one release out, this particular album, Through Veils of Time. And by now you can pretty much figure out this is not the most satanic and evil Christ-raping black metal one, but more of the fantastical nature, maybe a hint of symphonic and all. So if your mind takes you to a journey to bands like, say, Old Man's Child, Covenant, maybe a little bit Emperor and Dimmu Borgir in the mix, you're in the right direction. I guess I would mostly point this towards the early works of Covenant and Old Man's Child, but then again, they more or less are related to the other bands I mentioned, so roughly you get the idea. On Metal Archive site, this band is mentioned as symphonic black metal, operated this one particular artist here, and I guess to a certain degree it's totally correct. Whether you call music atmospheric black metal with synthesizer keyboards or just symphonic black metal, I'll leave it up to you. I'm not that interested in given various subgenre fights. It's always up to the given individual to define what goes as symphonic and what not. For me, this is not clearly symphonic enough, with big orchestra and lots of keyboards to justify that, but it's just my opinion, so yours may vary. I'm just saying this because while there are lots of keyboards with this given music, there's a big jump from this to whatever, say, Dimmu Borgir did back in the days, or Emperor for that matter. And the albums, which for first Covenant one is more closer to what I feel here, even though that is often compared to the early Emperor. So with that out of the system, let's go for this one. So as I mentioned, this one member in the band, Mjolne, by the way, reminds me of Mjolnir, the famous hammer of Thor. Mjolne is the artist name for this artist that used to be drummer for this smaller underground named, but not totally unknown named Aeternitas from Norway back in the early 90s, early 2000s. They started, however, even before 1990s under different moniker, but Aeternitas is mostly known as late 90s, early 2000s black metal band with their 4 albums and all. But that story is long gone when we're not gonna focus on that, but this current band, Mjolne. Now, as you can pretty much see, this is just done with this one particular musician, not a whole band. So obviously it's a big step from, as a full 5-6 piece of a band to come to a solo project where you just handle everything. And now obviously the big question is it good enough? Now first, this was released independently early 2025 with a very different, very much more boring cover. I mean, it's obvious, this seems like a cell phone or smartphone photo, to be honest, having length almost for 1 hour or so. But with other versions, which came later on, August 29th, now there is this proper cover, which is here more like a press photo. You already seen what I've shown you, and this new cover is, in my opinion, a lot cooler and comes with a nice glossy digipack. So as I was saying, about almost 60 minutes, 56 minutes roughly, give or take, with 10 tracks. No intro, outro, but all full tracks here, meaning that there's quite much to digest on one go. Now, musically, as I was saying, this is quite of a trip to atmospheric black metal with keyboards in the mix. Sometimes the keyboards are more dominating, but often that they are more like a sidekick to guitar work. That, and of course tempo, which is changing throughout the course of action from something like mid-tempo to the faster part. Nothing ultra fast is here. This is not the kind of a blast beat black metal really, but more on the mid-tempo, a little bit up-tempo kind of a stuff with a lot of keyboards. And do I say keyboards enough of times? My point here it is, they kind of come and go, but they are often there to just, create part of the whole atmosphere, which I would box this in atmospheric black metal rather than symphonic one. Now, there are some seasoning here and there to just, break the overall pattern, like acoustic guitars. I think it was track number 4, this Skaldekvad, which has guitar parts, and sometimes there are these almost borderline spoken parts, which are not, like clear, like this kind of speaking, but more like, the atmospheric, like, let's go do a sermon or something like that. And then you have the rather typical black metal vocal parts, which in my opinion are a little bit held back. They could be more aggressive in style and more front in the mixing. It's not like it's bothering me, but it's noteworthy. So those who are looking for something like very evil and sinister with their black metal, or raw, like say akin to early Darkthronian works, they're not suited up for this trip. This is more about let's get a little bit beautiful, maybe that bit romantic with the stuff. Maybe someone could imagine things like summoning happening here, but also, like I mentioned, bands like the very debut album of Covenant and all that stuff. So keyboards, atmospheric parts, let's take it easy. So kind of an entry-level black metal in so many ways. And yes, this does reflect the kind of a late 90s vibe when things were shifting in so many ways. You already had the early raw end of black metal recordings, like bygones, bands were evolving, and some bands were going more into softer direction. Some either super melodic and all that stuff. So this is actually where Mjolne stuff like, stop it, don't go post-black, don't go, overly symphonic, and don't go into the raw territory, don't go super violent. Let's go stay in the middle of the road, keeping the atmosphere intact and all that stuff. And as such, this is a good starting point. However, I feel this album is a little bit too packed, be it individual songs with their length and, overall with the songs. I mean, to be honest, this is not the kind of a material you need 7-8 minute tracks, which there are a couple. So sometimes less is more, and I feel this could have been a little bit more compact. But then when you have a solo project, nobody's stopping you from doing this or that. You know how it goes. Sometimes it's just too full and all. But I think there's a lot of potential with this given style, and I know there are lots of fans of this given style, like a little bit keyboards, a little bit of this atmospheric parts, a bit of, acoustic guitar and all. So, I mean, this is exactly something that people are yearning for. But once said, this is not for the fans of, say, bands like Marduk or fans like Darkthrone or so forth. So, in case you're looking for something extreme in black metal, this is probably not for you. But if you think black metal is more about beautiful atmospheric parts and all, sure, go give it a go. And of course, links are provided in the description box. You will find information about, like this Metal Archive site, as well as links to listen to the music and whatever I could find. So give it a go, or give it not, up to you. And as the saying goes, if you like it, go buy it. Now off you go.